episode number 38.
When I had my near-death experiences, I didn't exit consciousness. I entered consciousness of a different form.
To be able to allow the body to really become soil again, we need some modern technology.
It doesn't have a whole lot to do with kinky sex or blood sacrifices. It is about having a relationship with the goddess through nature.
When we see that God really, really wants us to love our enemies, you'll see this world transformed.
Why didn't Yoko step in and say this isn't what he wanted?
Well, she did it.
She's the one who had him cremated.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Yoko.
Yeah, I'm not going to leave to anything. I'm going to stay as vague as possible.
Okay,
so.
good. Let me know if you hear a drone over your house. Oh man, what a pleasure it is to introduce my very good friend Stephen Jenkins on this episode of the Dance to Death Afterlife podcast. I'm your host, Brant Huddleston, and Steve and I have been really good friends for a long time, as you'll hear, and we were just hanging out in his house one day and had a really great conversation about what he does for a living, which is amazing because he helps people through the end of life. And this program is about end-of-life issues, and so I want you to enjoy my conversation with Stephen Jenkins. As always, amazing conversations with you, and I miss them.
I love you.
I miss them.
You're my brother.
Yeah, man. We've known each other
10 years. 10
years.
11.
And in that 10 years, I knew of your vocation, and I knew you were good at it. I knew you were really, really good at it because I could feel it when you talked about it, when I could feel not just your passion, but also your intelligence, for the way your emotional intelligence and your intellectual intelligence, the way you approached your clients and the way you handled the different crises that would come up taking care of an older person. And so when I started thinking a few weeks ago about pivoting the podcast to be more inclusive of end-of-life issues, which move, there's a seamless continuum that goes through old age, as we refer to it, to death as we understand it, and into the afterlife as we understand it, and in a lot of ways with decreasing understanding. We know almost nothing about the afterlife. We know some things about death, but are learning more, and then of course we're learning a whole lot about what it means to be a senior and the issues that they deal with. But you've been in it. You've steeped yourself in it for how long? What do you? Why don't you start by saying what you do and how long you've been doing it?
Caring for the elderly, or the elderly in particular. You said it we talk about from the cradle to the grave, from the grave, because that's all we here understand. But the hereafter too, leaving after. What I do, I struggle with that. I've struggled to have to clarify and come up with a narrative for what I do. I like to call it spiritual hospice, in the sense that I help people come to terms with dying and leaving here.
But it starts way before that, because you've had clients you've taken care of for years.
Yeah. Well, when I say help the person, spiritual hospice, help them die, I think that we're dying from the day we're born.
Okay.
So at whatever step in there that I typically come in. It can be 10 years, it can be 5 years, it could be 8 years before the actual.
We're talking about people, and I know that you've had a number of clients that are soiling themselves. I was surprised actually to hear you describe yourself as being in spiritual hospice, because a lot of what you do is very, very practical. cleaning bed sheets, carrying people to hospitals or medical.
The interesting thing about that is
you're rolling up your shirt sleeves.
Well, the interesting thing about that is, first of all, they're not my family members, so there's a bridge there which allows me to view them. We were talking earlier that when you see value in people, I think the value of a newborn baby and the value of an elderly is the same. So whether I'm changing the baby's diaper or changing the 86-year-old's diaper, it's still a person who looks up at you with their eyes, with longing, whether they can express themselves with word or not.
Yeah.
I put the value on whether or not the baby's worth more and the old person isn't. And it's a bigger poop.
Yeah.
It can be a lot messier job. Somehow I'm willing to cut the baby slack when he poops on me, but when the old person does it, I lose patience. And that says more about me than it does about either one of the situations, because the situation's the same. The baby's helpless, and if you live long enough, you may become helpless.
Yep.
So what had to change was my view. The practical of it is that, and that doesn't tend to be. I like helping. I think that as a someone who believes in spirituality, who believes the Christian faith, that I believe that we are never more like modeling Christ, who we say that we represent, than when we are serving. I came not to be served, but to serve others. Then when we are giving, the Son of Man came to give. Mm-hmm. And when we are forgiving. Mm-hmm. And I think those are three things that help me in my vocation. Henry Nouwen, who is probably the premier philosopher, theologian.
Yeah, I've read a couple of his books.
On the subject of vocation as ministry. Mm-hmm. I could not do what I do. I could not help people down the pathway to the end.
Well, walk me through a typical scenario of what you do. So you get called to engage when a prospective client is what? What is the profile?
Well, it's never. There's never the same. Each one is different.
But except for one thing's in common: they're older people. Yes,
they tend to be older people. It tends to be harder when they're younger people. I've been asked to work with 25-year-old young people with disabilities, or a teenager with disabilities. It's not my sweet spot. Mm-hmm. It's not where I am. Elderly people tend to be a sweet spot for me because of my childhood and my father not being in there. Mm-hmm. There's something attractive about me coming alongside of an elderly gentleman and being there for him because there was a void in my life that was not filled.
Is it always been, or have you had any female clients?
No, I won't do female clients. Okay, I can help to a degree, but I won't put myself. I think there's a level there that needs to be. It's attractive. I find elderly men who've lived these full lives, and not only do I find that this is what works for me, they click with me. Mm-hmm. Part of what I do is really dependent upon whether or not the client will receive me.
Do you think, and I don't want to take us down a rabbit hole too much, but I'm curious about the dynamic between men. You're a man, your client's a man. Mm-hmm. How do you think that's different than if the hospice worker were female? Do you think there's a difference?
There is a difference. There's tremendous. There's some men that won't allow women to care for them. It's a pride issue, as long as the cognitive is still going. These are the challenges that you face when you're caring for someone. So, but men and women alike, we're born into a female environment. You're encased in a woman for 9 months. She breastfeeds. There's something very nurturing about women taking care of. So a lot of men are very comfortable in their elder years with women caring for them because they feel like they've been cared for by women all their lives. Mm-hmm. There are other men who, for whatever the reasoning may be, I think a lot of time the friction comes into the fact that a man has a lot more pride and ego and stuff wrapped in, and he doesn't want to be babied. He doesn't want to be told what to do by a woman. And that's his issue he has to work through. Me with men is that I view them as an equal value. And though I may help you put your pants on, your socks on, and help you in and out of the car, I never, in any sense, try to diminish your value as a person.
Wow, that's powerful.
That's the harder thing to do, because I touch that, I lose you. I lose you because men tend to be private. What we have is we have a society that has told men that they're not allowed to feel anything. Men need to be tough Tonys. So men enter into the elderly part of their lives and they feel like that they feel isolated. They feel like, especially if a man's been a career man, and the men I work with tend to be successful, because if you are what you do when you no longer do it, then who are you? Mm-hmm. So if you've been a doctor, a lawyer, captain of industry, self-made man.
Right. And then suddenly...
And all of a sudden, this is being taken away, and it's being taken away.
Wow.
And you have not invested in being a loving husband, father, caring granddad, then not only is this being taken away, but you don't have any investment in this either, and you can feel lost. You can feel one. It's a hard, difficult...
Yeah.
So one of the things I'll say to a client, and one client in particular, is that your best work isn't what happened in the stock market or what you built. When I'm uniquely qualified because I'm not really impressed. I'm a little jaded by stuff. The rich, because the rich and the poor all die the same. Mind you, the poor can't afford to hire me, but they die and they need to be loved and cared for. And I don't judge you by your dollar amount. I judge you by, did you love your wife? Were you a good person? Did you care for people? And what I find is people do have regrets towards the end of their life, and I'm able to walk with people through those regrets. It's usually unforgiveness. It's usually I didn't spend enough time with the children. I didn't invest. There's a long end, and there's a way to get that, to work through that.
So you are really uniquely qualified to do this job because you are a spiritually rich person. I know this about you. You have a rich character. You've got a lot of character, noble character. You've got integrity. You're physically strong and capable, so you could probably lift these guys and carry them, and you have an aptitude for it. You have a great attitude towards it.
Brent,
what else do you bring to the table beyond that?
Well, Brent, I would have never chosen this career for myself. I would have never chosen it. And quite frankly, when I was first approached by it, I thought like some of my clients think, I thought that the work would define who I was and it would diminish me. And who wants to be caring for people?
Right. I mean, almost like a kind of like a nurse or something.
Yeah, well, like a nurse. Well, it doesn't come across on radio or podcasts, but I'm black.
Yeah. Well, we are going to put your picture on there.
I just want to make that announcement. I'm a black man, so
really, I hadn't noticed.
To be approached about caring for people, white people in particular, as a black man, my first gut response was I was offended. I couldn't see the jewel. I couldn't see the beauty in what I was being asked, tasked, and called to do. I think often we search in our work and our vocation for something that has meaning. I think we all want a vocation that has meaning. I want to wake up in the morning. I want to feel passionate about what I do, and I don't want to just put widgets in
tops on bottoms.
I couldn't make iPhones, and I couldn't just do stuff. I need to feel like I'm contributing and creating. 3 or 4 of the major things that I think that have equipped me to be where I'm at today has been the loss of my dad, my parents being divorced, and coming from a single parent home, because I think it created a huge male bonding vacuum that is now being filled by my vocation.
So you're getting as much out of this.
Oh, it's about me
emotionally.
Did I not say that?
You're getting paid, but you're also getting paid with money, but you're also getting paid with this.
It's healing. I could not do this. I couldn't get through the bad moments of friction if it wasn't for what I'm getting. My love tank I'm needed.
Yeah.
And I've always wanted to be needed. I'm needed by somebody. I wish my own dad. I have moments today. My father's been dead for 30-something years, 40 years. Yeah. And there are moments today when I'll be caring for somebody that's 83 and 84 years old. And whether it's helping with his clothes on or telling him where his eyeglasses are, whether I wish this person was my dad.
Yeah.
I wish my earthly father, my dad died when he was young, had lived long enough for me to care for him for free.
Well, that's beautiful.
But because he isn't, my acts of kindness to these men is a homage to my father.
Wow.
And also, and there's more selfish reasons, there's also one day I have to pass this way.
So you're saying this will be me one day.
I need somebody to care for me, and I hope I have a Stephen Jenkins. I hope I have someone who has the level of compassion and understanding to care for me. I'm not married. Yeah. There's no wife or no children that I can foresee, and I don't know that I have enough money to pay someone to care for me.
Well, you got a lot of friends.
And Mother Teresa. So the value of life. So at the end of my life, there's a part of me that's hoping that the seeds I sow in caring for people will spring forth fruit, that people will care for me when I can't remember where my hearing aids or my glasses are.
Well, this is a do unto others thing.
This is a do unto others.
And cast your bread on the water.
Also, my seminary background really helped me going to seminary as a profession because I have no medical background whatsoever. I have some theological training and some psychological training, so I think I understand the human nature as I get older, and I think that's profound. And the spiritual component has helped me see the value in all life. Mm-hmm. So an understanding of human nature, along with the spiritual value that people have, along with the brokenness that I have inside me, has uniquely created this person who's probably almost one of a kind, two of a kind. There are not many people like me. And what that has done is it's created a tremendous demand for what I do. And as we have a population that is aging rapidly, and we can't just take all of our elderly and dump them at nursing homes, or heaven forbid, we start lining people up for euthanasia, how are we going to care about our elderly?
Well, what kind of qualification? I mean, what would you say to somebody out there who's thinking, maybe I could be a Stephen? What kind of advice would you give them?
Oh, I would probably say, first of all, I just need to say, it's probably one of the most rewarding careers, vocations that you can have, caring for people. I talk to people who deliver babies, doulas. People who deliver babies say it's so rewarding to be there when life is coming in. I think it's amazing to be there as life is going out. Yeah. So I sort of birth people, but into the other. I think an innate value for people, patience is always wonderful. Now, what I'm finding out, and I just want to say this is very hard work for children with their own parents.
Okay. Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay. Like a son.
Like a son or a daughter.
And why is that?
Because the level of history is just really deep. The scars are deep.
Yeah. There's landmines.
There are landmines in there, and as much as it can be beautiful, the children have a really hard time doing the heavy lifting of caring for a parent, a dying parent, or an elderly parent. Mm-hmm. And my heart really goes out if you're a single parent, a single child. A group of children can do it. Well, and the other thing I need to say, there's no perfect way to do it. There's no right way to do it. What you want when you close the box and put your loved one in the ground is you want to know that you've done the best job you could.
Amen.
You're going to make mistakes. Yeah. You're going to get angry. You're going to lose patience. You're going to, and don't hold yourself to a standard.
What are some times that you found yourself coming up short, that you said, I'm not sure I can do this, and why?
I'll give you a really clear. I deal a lot with Alzheimer's patients, or the early years of what I did, that's what it was. And with cognitively impaired people, I realized that I had a tremendous bucket of grace for someone who was diminished. The other thing I want to say is that anger is usually the indication that there's something else wrong. People get angry
if the client gets angry.
The client getting angry is an indication that something's wrong. The baby's screaming and hollering. The baby wants to say, I need to be fed. That safety pin's sticking me in the ass. Can I have some more milk? I'm tired. But he doesn't know how to convey that, so what he does is scream.
Right.
And you'll figure it out to stop the scream.
Right.
A lot of time with elderly people, the pushback, the anger is an indication that I'm frightened. I'm losing it. I don't feel loved. I don't feel valued. So you can't judge what's going on. You got to try to underline. Once again, language is failing you. And I've had clients where I have verbally been able to communicate via the eyes because speech fails.
Right.
So that intuitiveness of that.
Well, let me ask you.
Go ahead.
Let me ask you. Well,
what was
the question I asked you was, when do you come up short? When did you?
I tell you when I come up short. So, and we were talking about cognitive impairment. When I come up short is, I won't. And the great thing is, I get to choose. I don't have to work with everybody. There's only one me. So when you bring me into a situation, you're not hiring me. I'm saying whether or not I'll work for you.
You're hiring them.
I'm hiring them because I'm going to get into your life.
Wow. I
get into the life. I'm getting next to a family member. You're trusting me with the closest thing that you love because you can't do it. And I walk. It's a really intimate place in the family. It sears me into the family, and that's one of the rewarding things that the children and the grandchildren and the spouses have been very, very grateful for the gift.
Now, my sense, and I've seen you go through a couple, 3 clients at least, and it seemed like in every case you became very endeared to the family. Yeah. They really did trust you.
I love them.
And loved you.
I love them.
Did you ever have a case where it didn't work, and why not?
Well, yeah, I did, sadly enough. I had one case, and I'm going to leave the name out to protect the professional sports player. Cognitively impaired, Alzheimer's, early stages, but it was not brought on by genetics. It was brought on by concussions, and we realize that now. And this person was just really angry. It was angry. Felt like they'd had a bad deal from life. Was angry at their spouse, angry at God, angry at themselves, anger, and anger consumes you. Anger needs a place to live. So this person, to some degree, even though they were in pain and hurting, they were toxic. So it's like the lion who has the thorn in his foot.
Yeah.
And you want to pull it out, but they won't let you close enough to pull it out. And at the time that I got that client, I was actually working with another client, and the wife begged me to spend some time with this person, and I spent some time with the person and got to really like the person a lot, but realized that it was going to require more than I was able to give.
You weren't going to be able to pull out the thorn.
I wasn't going to pull out the thorn, and the person ultimately took their life.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah. The person ultimately took their life. And the person was 62 years old.
Oh my gosh, that's tragic.
And took a gun. I often wonder, people talk about Alzheimer's, cognitively impaired. It's one thing to know you're dying. I think it's harder for people when they are aware if you have not resolved some issues. It's another thing to either have death sneak up on you, or to have your mind go and you just be unaware that you're going.
Well, there might be some peace in that.
There's some peace in that, because then you're just caring for the body because the mind is going somewhere else. But the realization that my time here is limited.
You mentioned scared. People expressing fear as anger. How prevalent is fear? And I'm kind of asking for myself because right now I'm healthy. I'm strong. I think I have all my wits about me. But if I felt that one day I was starting to lose my mind to Alzheimer's or senility, or maybe my body was starting to fail, I think that I think the first thing I would feel is scared. Is that what you found with your clients as
the unknown,
as they failed? And I asked my own mom about that, and she expressed the same thing. She's a little bit scared of the unknown. The unknown,
and it's the boogeyman in the dark that scares us all. I think that.
Do you feel that way personally? That you're a man of faith, so you've poured through every page of the Bible many, many times, and you've steeped yourself in that world that gives you this assurance of salvation. But do you still get scared?
Yeah, I think the unknown, and you know what, Brent? It's just amazing that you bring that up, because there are two things that come to me. One is, and I think it's a common. I think that's part of humanity. I think to face the unknown or a challenge and not be afraid is foolish. I think it's reckless. I think someone who isn't afraid can be very dangerous. I think fear is a good thing. Because you should be afraid to jump up this building. You should be afraid to jump out of a plane. You should be afraid. Survival thing. I think fear is a good thing. Now, fear in our society has gone unchecked. Fear sells stuff. It sells alarm systems,
it elects
cars,
presidents.
Exactly. Throw that in there. Fear is a very marketable tool to sell something. The fear of life of death has to do with the fear of unknown. It's I don't know. And there's the story told of these twin babies who are in their mother's womb and they're having a conversation. This isn't a real thing, like a kid eating pizza or pumping the high five inside his mom's belly. And one child says to the other child, I hear that there's a life outside of here. And the other baby says, you're crazy. This is all there is. We're swimming around in here. It's beautiful. We're fed. You got you got me. Why would you even think of something like that? He says that I hear that there's a whole nother world that exists. And if you get quiet sometime, I think I hear voices.
Interesting.
And the baby says, you're insane. It's me and you. This is our universe. We're attached to this cord. There's a God out there or whatever out there that's feeding us, but this is the extent. And then one day, the walls of their existence starts crumbling. And the other one says, see, I told you this is all it is. This is it. We're dying. We're dying. Our world as we know it is falling. It's under, and I'm in excruciating pain and I don't want to leave. And 30 seconds or 30 minutes later, you are in what we know of as the world. And I believe that whether you say it verbally or not, your eyes open, they slap you, they wipe you off, you look around and you go, oh my God, all this for me? And the party is just beginning. So I think you fast forward to 95 and you are in a bed, can't move, can't eat, can't eat. And I think you hear to yourself, I hear there's another world.
Hey, if you listen carefully.
If you listen carefully, and if you sit by a pond, if you look in the sky, if you listen to the ocean, I'll tell you what, nothing convinces me more of eternal life than to look into the eyes of a newborn baby. That child has come from somewhere.
Yeah.
That child has come somewhere.
What about looking into the eyes of
the dying?
Yeah.
I've been around at people's bedsides when they've died, and it is a beautiful, wonderful time. If someone has made peace and had the opportunity to finalize some things, now everything doesn't get put in a neat bow, but the last person a while ago who passed away on his bed, surrounded by his loved ones. The last 24 hours he had been sung, his grandkids and everyone who loved him. And as he breathed his last breath, a smile formed on his mouth.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Now, whether that was rigor mortis,
you had to say that.
whether it was the last breath leaving the body, whether his spirit had seen something that we could not see, I don't know. But I'll tell you this. To the 16 people in the room, it was the greatest gift he could have given any of them.
Wow.
It took the sting. It made death just another part of life. And his wife said, look at there. With his dying breath, he gave us what we needed.
Wow. Very cool. All right, so that's a great place to end. But before we go, tell the audience a little bit about the practical stuff. Like, if somebody wanted to do what you do, how do you? Is there an organization? Is there a certification? How do you bill? What are some of the things?
I was called into it. I was called into the ministry or the vocation, and I tell you what, if you have what it takes to do this, you will not be the first person to know it. Other people will. So listen to other people. People have the ability to see your gift. See, because if I told you that I'm a baritone, I can sing opera, that should be proven by the fact that I should be able to stand on stage. But if I think I'm a great singer and start singing and people start heading the other way, I don't really have that gift.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's what happens when I sing and play. But that's another point.
So the gift of caring. If you have the gift of caring, it's already evident in your life because you're doing it. You're doing it in other places.
Yeah.
You're caring for people.
Yeah.
I would tell the people, pastors, elderly people, that I'm willing to give this a shot.
Yeah.
This is something I'm feeling called to. I'd like to come. And I don't think you come alongside 15. I think you come alongside a person.
A single person.
A single person.
Yeah.
Or family members. If you hang your shingle out, if you tell people I'm willing to run errands with grandpa and grandma and I'm willing to be their friend, be their buddy, I'm willing to be there, you'll have more business than you can deal with. The hardest thing people have a problem with is putting a dollar amount on the talent.
And how do you do that? You don't have to give us the
it's
amount,
been very, 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 very hard for me because it's a gift and it just seems so easy.
Like you want to almost give it away.
You want to give it away.
You gotta eat.
You gotta eat.
So
now my scale is based upon partly the socioeconomics of the people I'm dealing with, and I happen to be dealing with people who can afford to pay me. I have a 4-hour minimum. Meaning, it's just really not conducive to me.
You mean a day?
Meaning I won't come out for less than 4 to 5 hours.
And do you bill by the hour?
I bill by the hour. Yes, I do. What will happen is you may start off billing by the hour. You may start off on an intern basis or whatever, but you become such an integral part of this person's well-being that it's just in their best interest to give you salary.
Okay.
Now I've done all sorts. I've done hourly where I'd help people do things. I've moved into people's houses with them.
Yeah, I know you have. Now, if you go salary, does that mean what happens when you go salary and all of a sudden they start asking for 60 hours a week? You have to start.
No, everything's spelled out in the contract.
Oh,
I do a 40-hour week. I do 2 weeks of vacation. I get holidays. I get sick days. I get everything.
Just like an employee contract.
Just like an employee does. It's just a personal contract. And if I am needed outside the scope of those hours, then there are penalties.
Yeah, you can charge.
I can charge for
it.
All
right.
But I need to say that with what's happening in America, we can look at Japan and we can look at other countries. There is a health crisis in caring for our elderly. There's not enough people to step up. So for anyone who is thinking about this is a wonderful way to get some personal fulfillment, but also to be a tremendous blessing to the people who have blessed us, to the people who have raised us. And I just want to end with this note, that you don't sit next to someone for 2 years, 3 years, year and a half, who has been the captain of their industry, whether they are cognitively going or not, and not come away a better person.
Amazing. Stephen Jenkins, thank you so much. You're an amazing human being.
Thank you.
I love you so much. I admire you, and I cherish being your friend.
Well, I judge myself based upon my friends, and the reflection I'm looking at right now is just really amazing. I like who you are. I like who you're becoming, and I celebrate you. Thank you, my friend.
Namaste.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, man. I love that guy. He's just so awesome. You've got to just meet him one day. He's one of the most incredible human beings on the planet, and I love him dearly, and he's doing such a good job with all of his clients. And I hope that show inspired you, because there's such a great opportunity out there if you've got the heart for it. And that's what Stephen's doing, and I just wish him the very best. Hey guys, do me a favor and check out a video I just put on lovestorybox.com. Lovestorybox.com. There's a video I want you to watch and a survey. You get a $25 gift certificate if you take the survey, and I need your help. Thanks for listening, and until next time, my clerks and clerkettes, make the most of this moment, because it's the only moment you got. This is your host, Brant Huddleston, signing off.